Hi guys and welcome back to my new video. In today's video we're going to talk about, obviously, as you just read into the description, we're going to just obviously review Assassin's Creed Unity after 10 years. I mean, right now it's kind of 11 years, but it's okay. So at the start I want to just ask you a thing. At first, obviously, to just obviously subscribe to the channel because we are near 300 subscribers. So if you just subscribe, this will really help my channel to grow, obviously. So thanks. And now we can obviously just move around and just start my review of this game. At first, I would like to just say that I played this game for quite hours now, but I just played it at all. I mean, I did not just complete it at all at the 100%, but I just played it all with the story and some side missions. Maybe I will continue later to just play the game. But at first, I would like to talk about, obviously, the gameplay itself. Because what do I think about this game? Because everybody just says that this is kind of one of the best ones for not only how it looks, and obviously thanks to all of the gameplay mechanics that they just added in this game. I think that Assassin's Creed Unity is a really great game, but it's not the best of the saga. And it's the thing that I still think that there are a lot of controversies that if they just let them just explore themselves more, they would have just created a really more complex game, and obviously a really more compact one. Not as the thing that they just did with Assassin's Creed Unity. If they just use the same basis for Syndicate, then maybe we should have had a really more complex game. But this is not a really big thing. At the third point, that right now is kind of the second one for you, is obviously the combat, because I think that the combat is really important in also this type of games, because it's kind of obviously one of the fact that is kind of really important. But I think that in this game it's really important to say that it's kind of the basic for all of the story, because it's all over the lore, because it's kind of a type of game that you are going to just see as how it's kind of precise, and obviously are going to just use in the gameplay. So I think that is kind of a really cool thing to say, and obviously to just act and use in this game. And I still think that it is kind of probably one of the best ones, maybe for how it looks, but probably not as how it's smooth, because it's not really smooth. If you just don't use obviously all of the real momentum thing, you're not going to just see a really important and obviously cool move set from Arnaud. So I still think that is kind of something that, for example, the latest one could have been just really just better, maybe. But I think that is kind of depends on what do you think and what do you prefer on Assassin's Creed game. So as this one said, we also can talk about obviously the the missions, and obviously stealth, because the stealth obviously is really important in this game. And obviously the stealth here is really improved from the last titles, and I still think that maybe it's kind of the best ones in the series. But I think that if you want to just really see the really importance of the stealth, obviously you have to just play something else, because this type of gameplay, this type of game itself is really not only important and just obviously smooth, but it has to just be complex with the NPCs. And in this game, if you just mastered it all, it's not that hard. Only if you just play something with a lower level is kind of really hard. So I still think that this kind of something that could have been just really improved, but I don't think that this kind of a negative thing in this game. So that's on you guys. I mean, that's on what do you think about this game, and what do you think on in general the stealth mechanics in Assassin's Creed. So that's kind of a really interesting one, but it's also controversial, if you understand what I'm thinking about. Then also the gadgets, and now I'm just saying it all because I think that in the gadgets, this is also the best one in all of the games that were developed by Ubisoft, and the only one that is kind of really near as smooth, obviously, as this game is maybe Mirage, because it's also really stealth focused. And not only this, because the fact that it's really stealth focused, that will just let the game to just be more, maybe more and more, obviously, just repetitive. But I still think that the fact that you can just actually just choose whatever kind of gadget you want to just use is really important, and obviously really smooth to see. So I still think that is kind of one of the best ones, if not the best in the series, because it's kind of really similar to, for example, the first games. And I still think that this kind of, even if it's similar, is still better than them. So I think that is kind of 10 out of 10 of this kind of category. Then obviously we have to talk about the parkour, because everyone, I mean not everyone, but a lot of people think that the parkour in this game, so in Assassin's Creed Unity, is the best in the saga. I don't think so. Why? Because I think that the animations looks really cool. All of the jumps that he just do and all of the things that happens in this game, it's really cool to see. But in reality, I don't know, guys. I mean, I think that for the complexity, maybe, but I still think that if you want to just a really important and obviously beautiful to see and just beautiful to just act as a parkour game, maybe you have to just play the first ones, not maybe the first one, so Assassin's Creed 1, but maybe with the Assassin's Creed, obviously Brotherhood, Revelations, maybe, and also obviously the last ones. I mean, if you can just play them and be really good at it, you're going to just be really good at it in every game. And why am I talking about this? Because if I can just let everyone see Assassin's Creed Origins, as it is kinda really good maybe with the parkour, you're going to just understand how someone can just understand this type of mechanics. So I still think that this kinda depends on the obviously the people that just play the game, but I think that is kinda a solid 7 out of 10. And I know that maybe it just too low at saying obviously this type of parkour, but I still think that the real problem is the mobility and the smooth of obviously Arnaud doing his parkour moves. And after this, we have to talk about obviously the missions. The missions are really great because they are obviously stealth focused, and so you have to just be really careful and just be really, really smooth, and obviously think about what you really want to do. So that's kind of the real part that I want to just explain in my videos, because I think that a lot of people think that the missions were good only in there because uh, we didn't see a lot of, for example, black box missions in other games. But for example, Mirage, even Valhalla, has got some of this. And not only this, because you can also find someone in Origins. And I know that this isn't kind of the same ones that you can find in the game, but it's really similar. So you can just act whatever you want. So you're going to see different events, different kills. So that's the fact that I want to just maybe say and obviously see in the next games. And obviously after this we have to talk about characters, because in this game I have to say this, I didn't find a lot of, for example, characters or really important ones that are kind of just to be remembered. Only obviously if you don't talk about, for example, Arnaud, Elise, and his mentor, you don't have a lot of people to just remember the name. And that's the fact, because I think that, for example, in Valhalla, even if you have a lot of characters, you want to just remember some. For example, Basim, who has just got a lot of attention with his own game. So I think that maybe they could have just done more on the story and obviously with the details on the characters. And we don't I have to talk about, for example, the character development, because I still think that Arnaud is completely shit. And I don't say this because I don't really like him at all. I still think this because I just see how he just develops, for example, love for Elise, and then he just was falls for her every time, every fucking time, guys. I just played it, for example, kinda 30 hours maybe, and at the end I was kinda just really confused and just be bored thanks to everything that just happened, thanks to obviously his lover, Elise. So I don't know what do I think about Elise and obviously Arnaud, but I didn't like it at all. I mean, I like the couple, but I don't like how they actually just acted with them. So I don't know, guys. Obviously, with the development of Arnaud, guys, is just a guy that is just too in love with a girl. So I don't know. I'm not really convinced with him, even if he's just kind of a copy of Ezio. So I think that even if he's a copy, he's not a really good one. And that's the probably fact that just let me just say, "Bo, what is going on?" And that's the only fact, because I think that the story was kind of good, but not at all. That's the only fact. Obviously, now I want to talk about the secondary missions because they were kind of disappointing, because they were nonsense, or you couldn't just found everything at all. Only if you just do the co-op missions and obviously the Nostradamus ones. And if you don't do that, we're not going to say, for example, "Oh wow, that's a good one, that's an interesting one." No, because they just don't give you anything else about the story. But fortunately for obviously this game, you have an amazing world, amazing setting, because guys, Paris is really beautiful as a game, as a setting, everything else, because it's really interesting how they did it, for example, in 2014, and I still think that is kind of really interesting in general. So I still think that is kind of the thing that they just used it over and over again. This kind of the same thing that we also say when we talk about Ubisoft, and we just gave them an excuse for what they actually do in general with games. So, guys, after all of this, what do I really think about this game? That's an interesting quote, if you just ask me, because I think that this is a really good one, but not at all. And that's the problem, guys, because all of the endless titles that I just played this year, I think that Ubisoft was good, but not at all, and that's the fact. If they just could have just create some game that were kind of really interesting at all, they would have just create more and more interesting for the people to their game, and that's the fact. That's the only thing that I would just like more for them. So, what rating do I just give them? Well, now we're going to see it. Wait a sec. Wait a sec. Because I had to just calculate it. So with the obviously with the gameplay, I will just give it an 8 because I think that is kind of cool. The combat 8 plus maybe, because I think that is kind of cool, but they could have just done better in the other games. Stealth obviously 9 because it's really obviously important, and just they just did it really good. Then the gadget, I think that is kinda a 10 out of 10, and that's the fact. The parkour for me is 7, as I said before. The missions were an 8. The problem with this game is obviously the story, the characters. I will give him a 6, a 6 out of 10, 6.5 if we want to say that. For the character development, 6, guys. It wasn't really good. Okay, the story 6. I didn't like it at all. The secondary 5. They weren't really good. Obviously, the world setting is kind of really good, and 8. So, with this said, all of this just let me say that Assassin's Creed the Unity, for me, it has only a 7.4 out of 10 as a game. And that's all for for today, guys. Let me know what do you think about in the comment, and that's kind of all, guys. Bye.